Every time I think about what they are selling, I think about Vargab.
India is a great market when it comes to volume of users. I think there's a lot that the ecosystem has done for itself, but the aspiration in our country is something that I'm very proud of as an Indian.
We've got amazing videos, amazing content. People are learning so much from that.
There will be a point when I'll be tired of my corporate life.
Why fear? What's the reputational risk that you have too early in your life?
I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't have the confidence, I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge, the know-how, the right partners.
And I've noticed this about you. You've been very particular about time management.
Like I keep saying on multiple podcasts that time is the currency on social media. I have always learned from people and their experiences.
What is the future of commerce going to look like?
Tech companies do not have a long life cycle. It's very rare that you see a tech company having 100-year lifetime.
One thing people misunderstand about e-commerce.
E-commerce is an easy business to start, difficult one to sustain,
Right.
and even more difficult one to scale.
Do you think Shopify and WIX can be disrupted too? The Hustle Group Company. Let me introduce you to the Hustle Group Company. It's a lifestyle brand that's redefining streetwear through the power of fashion, self-belief, and resilience. The second one being Discover Dollar, which is an AI-driven tech company that helps brands and retailers recover hidden dollars from overpayments and leakages. DocsNow's intelligent platform empowers businesses of all sizes to rapidly collect, manage, govern, and collaborate on the data front, transforming your documents and making sure there's an impact on the business bottom line, all in a secure and a single environment. Hey everyone, my name is Abhay Tandon. I'm your host. Welcome to the Innovators and Disruptors Podcast. As you're aware, we normally talk about a lot of impact stories, and this impact is interlinked with the human emotions and human philosophies behind these architects of impact. And today's episode is also going to focus on one such gentleman who I really admire for the work that he has brought in and he has done over the last few years. So welcome aboard, Vargab. Vargab, thank you so much for joining us. A quick introduction about you, at least they'll say introduction that I wanted to give. Vargab has been, in my mind, for all the right reasons, keeping in mind that every time I open my Instagram, I see some D2C brand, some brand selling some interesting products to me. And every time I think about what they are selling, I think about Vargab, because Vargab has been instrumental in the journey of so many SMBs, D2C brands, and even enterprises in this country having their online stores. He has been the head for Shopify and WIX in India and has been able to bring in so much of innovation. It's made life so much easier for these SMBs and these sellers today to come up with interesting products and just start selling it to consumers. So thank you so much, Vargab, for joining us for this episode.
Thank you, Abhay. You're very kind. I think there's a lot that the ecosystem has done for itself. How entrepreneurs have helped other entrepreneurs in D2C especially. I'm very glad I was able to play a role, but the aspiration in our country is something that I'm very proud of as an Indian, and I expect to see way more entrepreneurs than today starting D2C businesses over the next 2 decades.
Oh, that's fantastic. You spoke about you being an Indian and how this... I'm assuming that there are a lot of cultural nuances, as an Indian when you grew up in this environment, and then you bumped into Shopify along your career journey, you bumped into WIX, right? And you brought them in. These cultural nuances, Vargab, how did they impact your innovation at these organizations or the impact creation, specifically keeping in mind India as a geography?
That's a great question. So I think one advantage that I had is that I had a very multicultural growth. So I was born in Calcutta, I was raised in Hyderabad, I've spent some time in Pune, in Bombay, about 9 years in Bangalore now. So I've stayed in multiple cities. I've gotten the exposure that a lot of people don't always turn up getting.
Right.
When you meet people from various walks of life, your your spectrum of thinking widens. Your acceptance to radical ideas also improves. So I think as if you see someone in India who's well traveled and has seen various parts of the country,
Right.
I've always observed that they have gone on to do well, in their corporate career or entrepreneurial career.
Right.
If I were to draw parallels, that did this multicultural growth help me in my career? 100%. Like you may have seen as well, like kids who go to different schools, always find it easier to make friends.
Right.
And the corporate world works a lot on relationships.
True.
And if you are someone who can make relationships easily and prove to be of value to another person, things become easier for your career trajectory. For companies like WIX and Shopify and Google and Dell and all the tech companies that I've been a part of, I think, the first time I traveled out of India was in 2010.
Okay.
When I was working in Google, and Seattle was the first city that I went to. This is the first time. So I just had gotten my passport. So when I was growing up, I never had traveled outside India. And I've traveled to 25 plus countries now, just related to work. Some, of course, vacations, etc. with family, but work related travel dominated in the initial part of my career. And one of the things that I realized is that my level of comfort with someone who doesn't speak my language, doesn't look like me, comes from very different value systems, is I am still able to connect with that person, be friends with that person really fast, and build a bond that lasts over years. I think authenticity and genuineness and honesty and trying to actually be helpful to someone reaps a lot of benefits in any culture. And whether it's India or whether it's anywhere across the world. Shopify is a fiercely Canadian company. WIX is a fiercely Israeli company. And you will see both these companies imbibing the culture of the countries that they started in. Like you will see, let's say, a Canva being very Australian.
Right.
Because the leadership is from Australia. You will see a lot of the tech companies that have that have been born in the Bay Area have the Bay Area culture.
True.
So companies like Shopify and WIX have obviously taught me a lot about how things work in the western side of the world or in the Middle Eastern part of the world. But also, I think I have been able to give both the companies there a great glimpse of what India looks like. How India is not one country, but multiple small countries in one big country. Sort of like a European Union, where business changes or the way of doing business changes every 100 kilometers.
Makes sense.
Languages change, the way people interact with you, it changes. The food changes. So yeah, I mean, I'm personally very tied to culture and the impact that it has on business.
That's fantastic. One of the things, Vargab, that you spoke about was a lot of travel, right? A lot of different cultures that you've been exposed to. And that's fantastic. And I can probably relate to that because I've grown up in 7 cities in India and 3 outside as well, over my 38 years of life experiences, right? And in each of these cities, I was able to pick up something new. As a child, when you're traveling, you're hearing so many news stories, you become much more open in your mindset to accepting nuances, right? And that's so critical today because the world has become so polarized. As a young kid, while you were growing up, what were certain elements, what were certain exposures, etc., that you had while growing up, certain value systems that got you to where you are today?
I think there's always this extrovert who would go and walk up to anybody and start a conversation. And I was like that since I was a kid. So my parents would take me to a restaurant and I would just walk up to a stranger if I would find that person interesting and just have a conversation. When I grew up and I was in my early teenage, I never had the fear to walk up to a girl in a pub and just ask her, to have a conversation with me. A lot of men find that difficult, right? Like it's not easy for a man to walk up to a woman and just, just try and have a conversation.
Right.
I was always good at that.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's, and I think one of the things that came out of it is courage is super important.
True.
Right? At every step of life, whether it's personal or professional. Second, don't be scared of failure. And
Very
you should
true.
be okay with risks, right?
Yeah.
So, if it's very much possible that you and your bunch of friends have gone to a pub and you find a girl cute and you want to go and talk to that girl, but you're scared that your friends are going to make fun of you if she doesn't talk to you or makes fun of you, etc.
Right.
But you should be okay with that failure.
Right. Of course.
And you should be okay with that embarrassment. And
True.
if that happens a bunch of times with you, you suddenly become a little thick-skinned.
Right.
And you become bold and more courageous than what you were. So with every little failure, you become stronger in your head. And that actually impacts the kind of person you are and the decisions that you take later on in your career, right? Kunal Shah recently had seen a tweet, etc. He said that youngsters today care so much about their reputation where they don't even have one. Even now that I've been in leadership in some tech companies, I still don't think I should care much about my reputation. I think reputation is something that's there today, not there tomorrow, comes back again later.
Right.
Fame is very fickle, right? And you sort of need to just stick to what you want to do, and the noise that's around you, try and avoid.
Makes a lot of sense. It's very interesting to follow up conversations on this, right? One is that I go back to the drawing board and talk about Maslow's pyramid of needs, right? Where as the new generations have evolved, they have risen up the pyramid, and psychological safety is now very important for them. Roti, kapda, makan, and basics are all being taken care of, because more often than not, these kids today, they have already been provided that. Right? They don't have to worry about some of these aspects. They have to worry a lot more about psychological safety, and that is why if you see the career paths have traversed or changed so much. Right? Today you don't talk about people talk about being an engineer. They do not want to be engineer. They want to be something more creative. They're going into philosophy. They're going into policy making, and so on and so forth, which is very different as against what earlier career choices looked like. Probably because of that, there's this innate fear about their psychological safety and confidence around approaching new things. But I've still seen, that's a very valid point. That, why fear? What's the reputational risk that you have too early in your life? And eventually as well. I've come from a place where I have made the statement so many times. Itne saal mehnat karke, I've created certain credibility around myself, and I do not want to do anything shady in my life which pulls that credibility down. So anyway, it's very different from doing shady versus taking
Risks.
bold risks, right? Risk is something that I also take. But coming back to this, do you still go to pubs and talk to random people?
It's time that I start teaching kids that. I am married with a baby now, so I don't do that anymore. But happy to share some tips with youngsters.
Sure.
Like I said, what's the worst that can happen, right? What's the worst that can happen? So, you're not gonna die. And what people are gonna laugh at you? They're gonna laugh at you for some minutes and then move on to the next thing. So you probably made a few people laugh. So it doesn't really matter, if you get embarrassed. I think every embarrassment leads to something better. So I think today's generation is so much around validation, what people think, and that's because of social media.
True.
And it's super important to kind of take yourself out of it. And don't have like an image of yourself that you've got in your head, and you build that image in such a way that now you think that nothing can go wrong with that image. I think that's a very wrong way of looking at things. Keep life simple. Take every day as it comes. Some days won't be as great as the others, and that's okay. I think just be very comfortable with those ups and downs.
That's fantastic. You mentioned that you're about your kid, right? And parenthood. What's that like, and how do you want to raise up your kid?
My little girl, I've named her Yana Bakshi.
Very
She's
nice.
3 months old. Um, yeah, it was a my wife's pregnancy was a really interesting experience. Just taking her through each of the trimesters, and I think someone told me, and I'm trying to adhere to that, is your baby needs the mother
Yeah.
most of the time, for feeding, for taking care, the mother's warmth. In fact, for the first few months, the baby doesn't even realize that the baby is not a part of the womb anymore. So the baby will need the mother, more than the baby will need the father.
Right.
But you as the father need to take care of the mother. So you take care of your wife will be able to take care of the baby. Of course, like, I've been very hands-on with my baby.
That's amazing,
And I walk her around the house, I sing her songs, I play with her, I put her to sleep, I help her take those burps.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm sort of doing my bit. And it's a very fulfilling experience, and it's great to see a little life form grow in front of you every day, and the
Very
little
true.
things that she does that she wasn't doing a week before, and now she does it. And I'm like, hey, there's something new that she's doing, and these little nuances actually really make my day. Like, I may be having like a tough day at office, but my baby, the first time she smiled at me, I just forgot everything. Like, I was like, wow, this is the most awesome feeling in the world when your baby smiles at you.
Right.
And I became a father. I'm 37 years old, and I just became a father. So obviously, I married late. I had a baby late. And like, now I realize वो बाप दादा क्यों कहते थे कि जल्दी शादी करो, जल्दी बच्चे पैदा करो. I get it now,
Yeah.
that yeah, probably these little happiness, these happy moments could have started earlier in my life. Now to think of it,
True.
Abhay, if I make plenty of money, I'm very comfortable with the idea of staying at home and taking care of my child. Because I think there will be a point when I'll be tired of my corporate life. And I think I've got a solid 10 to max 15 years more, to give it my best shot. Actually, I am lucky that I've been able to take a 3-month paternity leave,
That's
and
nice.
like, just be with my baby and my wife, and take care of them during this particular period of infancy. And yeah, not everybody is lucky enough to take a break from their work, or get so much leave, or even, you get unpaid leave. Will you be able to sustain? So I think I've been sort of lucky that I've been able to structure that in a way that I've done justice to my work life, as well as take care of my family as and when it's needed. So I have been hated on social media a lot of times, because I've been an advocate of 70-hour work weeks or even more. And this it's not that people like me do not have a family life. In fact, I can perhaps challenge a lot of people who keep hating on me when I advocate for 70-hour weeks, that probably I spend more family time, more quality family time with my loved ones than probably them, who don't even know how they manage their time. I'm very particular about how I stick to my calendar.
Amazing.
So I have been following a routine. Whatever is on my calendar, I try and follow it to the T. And
Amazing.
let's say if it's in the evening from 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the evening, if it's blocked there as, let's say dinner with wife, or take wife out for shopping, or take baby to the doctor, or take mummy to the mandir, I stick to that. I do
Amazing.
not cancel that. And it's just so that Look, it's not possible for senior execs to do a phenomenal job at their workplace as well as do a phenomenal job all the time at a family level. But it's super important that if your family expects you to do some things for them, you turn up, show up, and do a good job with it, and don't cancel them at the last minute. That really hurts them. So as much as you wanna prove yourself in your career, I'm an ambitious guy. I know my family wants me to succeed at the highest level, but I also know that if I'm not there in the most important moments when my family wants me to be there, they would probably look back and think, does he actually have to make more amount of money than we need? So these are things that I've often thought about, just plain looking into the dark and just thinking, is it really worth missing important family time to make more money, and vice versa. So yeah, I think that work-life balance is super important, but I often think it's the life balance. Don't call it work-life balance, call it balancing life. Like, how do you manage everything in your life in a nice way? And if you're able to do that in a nice way, then kudos to you.
No, that's fantastic. That's so beautiful and profound, and the way you put it across. Time management is so essential today. In one of my conversations, I remember I was supposed to meet with Ronnie Screwwala back in 2017, and one of the gentlemen who was arranging for that conversation, he told me just before I was supposed to go in, he said, Ronnie is very particular about time. He manages so many different things, and he has given you a half an hour slot. But I'm going to give you a couple of pointers up front. One, if you are not able to keep him engaged, he's going to truncate the meeting in 15 minutes because he's going to value those 15 minutes of, time that he can get back. On the contrary, if the conversation is so riveting that he's hooked into it, he might extend your meeting by another half an hour as well if required. Happy to say I was in that meeting room for 45 minutes. So that means I must have had some good conversation there. But that was such an important lesson for me as well, that someone who has to manage so many media houses, kabaddi teams, and fund houses and so on and so forth. I mean, Ronnie Screwwala does a bunch of different things. He was so particular about time, and that was my lesson from that conversation, that if you have to get into a conversation, make sure that you are utilizing those 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour to the max, make the most meaningful impact that you can create out of that, and then move out, cut off, move to the next one.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you have to do that to ensure that you're able to contribute and balance your life, like you said, right, beautifully.
Absolutely. Super important. And time management, if done well, can do serious wonders in your life. You don't need to be, studying from a premier institute or, be a part of a very prolific alumni network. All you need to really be cognizant of is the way you spend every minute of your day. And it's not that, I play PlayStation, I play FIFA.
Amazing.
Almost on a regular basis. At least every alternate day, I will play for sure, unless I'm traveling or whatever. But I make it a point, that's my de-stress after dinner. I work, I spend some time with my wife, then I eat dinner, then I play 1 or 2 games on FIFA, on PlayStation. I love playing FIFA, and then I sort of go to bed, read a book, spend some time with my baby, and then call it a night. And that half an hour PlayStation break is also marked on my calendar.
Oh, brilliant! Wow.
So it's a lot of people think it's stupid, but it's just that I sort of look at it as a ritual.
That's amazing.
And sometimes, when I don't get wins in my real life, I try and get that in my video game life. It boosts my confidence sometimes.
Some days test you. Some days push you to your edge. The obstacles, they'll always be there. But the secret, it's in owning this moment. Right here, right now. Because greatness isn't built tomorrow. It's forged today. One step, one choice, one heartbeat at a time.
Coming to your journey, Vargab, how exactly did Shopify and then WIX happen, and what was your experience been in creating so many impact stories? And can you also talk to us about maybe a few incidents or instances where you saw those impacts really transforming lives of people out there?
Absolutely. First off, like, I have been incredibly lucky to have great people around me who have inspired me. Um, I have always learned from people and their experiences. In my humble opinion, what you can learn from someone's personal experience can be way more effective than a book sometimes. Like, for instance, if you and I sit over a drink and you tell me 5 reasons why you and your ex-boss didn't click, and I'll be like, well, those are, and you tell me those 5 things, and I'll be like, hell yeah, like, those were the 3 out of those 5 things resonate with me. It's happened with me in my career. And then we discuss, and there's a two-way interaction, and then we eventually lead to, hey, were there mistakes on our end as well? Could we have done something better? And then maybe at the end of 2 drinks, like, we both take back about my different perspective of how I manage up, up in terms of manage my leadership versus how you do. And there'll be some good elements from me that you can learn, and some good elements from you that I can learn. And that, I think that's something that often a book misses,
Right.
because the book is a very singular lens of how that author perceives a certain situation and goes about solving that. Of course, there are books like Hard Things by Ben Horowitz, which tries and explains how every angle that a leadership has to look at while taking hard decisions. And there are great books.
Yeah.
I'm not denying that, but there's no two-way interaction. I can't talk to a book, but I can talk to you. And if I'm able to loosen up and talk a little more, perhaps I'll get some insights that can open my eyes to something that I was just blind to so far.
Right.
So I love speaking to people, learning from experiences, and meeting new people, and that sort of like opened doors to meeting some people in the leadership team of Shopify. It was through cold emails that I started a conversation. Didn't get responses early on, but then they started responding. Sent multiple documents around what the strategy should be in this part of the world. And then they decided that I should be their first hire in Asia Pacific. And then I went on to head India, then went on to drive the APAC business, went on to head their emerging markets business. And at the end of 8 years, I quit Shopify, became an angel investor, took a break, was an advisor to multiple startups in the e-commerce D2C space. Then after that, I joined WIX. WIX had been reaching out to me, and I wanted to work for an Israeli company because the tech there is awesome.
Right.
Plus, I didn't have any network in Israel, and now I do. So
Huge one, if I may say so.
Yeah, a huge one. I'm very lucky that I've been able to meet the right people at the right time. If I were to, share tips on how do you crack such opportunities, I think do not be someone who's waiting for, let's say, if today you want to work at OpenAI or Perplexity or any of the top-notch AI companies, like, start doing cold reach outs to their leadership, to their engineering manager, to based on whatever role that you're looking for,
Right.
and create a role for yourself. Like, I'm sure that they are aware of some of the problem statements that you are thinking about when you identify that, hey, OpenAI is doing this well, but perhaps it's not doing this well, and I think this could be solved in so and so way. Start
Right.
writing an email. Like, it's okay if you don't hear back from them a dozen times. Continue to do that till you hear back. Get a no. Like, honestly, I either get a no and stop disturbing me kind of a response, and I'm like, thank you, I'll close the thread here, or like I'll just keep writing.
Wow.
And you need a lot of patience, in this entire process. But that's how I got the Shopify job. That's
Brilliant.
what made me good amount of money, like which kind of keeps me financially secure.
Right.
Look, like risks are super important. Calculated risks are even more important for people who have family like us, because
Right.
you can't really take absolutely radical risks that can put you in a spot of worry. So I've always been someone who's been like, hey, what's the worst that can happen? So I will always continue to use that mantra.
Yeah.
I consider myself as someone who understands India, understand how India's business metrics work. For instance, India is a great market when it comes to volume of users, but India is not a great market when it comes to average revenue per user. For instance, you know this well, like for telecom companies,
Right.
the average revenue per user in the US is $30. In India, it's $6.
Right.
So there's a 5x difference.
Right.
Right. So how do telecom companies easily make money in India? It's a difficult process,
Right.
but you've got over 1 billion people to serve. So
Right.
at volume, you'll probably be able to make money and margins, but at the smaller your audience is, the more difficult it gets. You can sell exclusive products, sell products to the rich, sell products to enterprises, and make good amount of money. So either you try and cater to that top 0.1% of the audience in India, or try and crack the Bharat, which is
Right.
tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, etc. And you try and crack that long tail.
Right.
So if you're cracking metros, try and go after the rich segment. If you're going long tail, try and crack that tier 2 and tier 3 cities, etc. But it's super important that companies which are entering India know that there are multiple Indias in one India.
Makes a lot of
and I
sense.
think the better job people like you and I are able to do in that aspect, the better opportunities will come up for us personally, as well as for entrepreneurs who were enabled
Yeah.
through these companies. You were asking me about stories of entrepreneurs, who've been successful. First of all, like, it'll be wrong on my part to take credit for anything that these entrepreneurs have achieved, because I know so many entrepreneurs in the Shopify ecosystem who have made millions of dollars every year by either running an e-commerce business, or by building an app which helps e-commerce businesses, or by selling services of website development, digital marketing, and still making shit tons of money.
Right.
Like, you'll be surprised, like Gujarat has tens of thousands of such small dev shops of 10 to 15, 20 people, companies doing like well over, let's say, 5 crores in annual revenue. And in that, you can say there's almost like a 40 to 50% take home margin.
Wow.
And like services businesses,
Yeah.
there's always that arbitrage, especially when you're trying to sell to US, UK, Australia, and developed markets, and they pay you in dollars and pounds, and you make a fat margin as the founder.
Right.
And I've seen like thousands of such stories. I think what people like me probably have done is that we've localized the product, and we've gone above and beyond to make people in India feel that Shopify is a company that actually cares about Indians,
Right.
and what Indian businesses want. And WIX as a company cares about how Indians want to design their websites, or what kind of a brand that they want to build. As Indians love it when foreign companies give them that due respect and attention. When you look at, let's say, a McDonald's introducing a paneer burger or a McAloo kind of a burger, the vegetarians here appreciate that. The vegetarians appreciate that there's probably no beef burger
Right.
in a McDonald's, because that would have sort of stopped someone who's purely vegetarian to go into that particular restaurant. But these little things, these cultural nuances, when foreign companies take that into account while entering a market like India, definitely contributes to the success.
For sure. In fact, Even WIX has been a key study in itself, specifically the India presence. The price points at which they attracted the markets. I'm assuming you are the man behind that as well.
Yeah, we've been selling WIX at what, $1 a month.
That's insane.
Yeah.
No one would have heard of something like that till
Correct.
we saw WIX doing something like this. And
Correct.
that in India specifically, it was like a shocker that, wow, someone can afford to now have a website at such a low cost.
Correct.
And the look and feel of the website was actually beautiful. It was grand.
Right.
They had so many options to choose from.
Right.
And now you could own that, build your businesses, get it up and running so quickly with all the possible integrations possible there.
Absolutely.
Right? And such a low cost.
Yeah.
You hook them in.
Absolutely.
And you empowered them.
Correct.
That's the thing.
India is a very value conscious market. Like, there's a lot of people on Wall Street who say, oh, you're expanding into India, it's a very price sensitive market. No. Yes, we are probably, one of those parts of the world who love a good bargain.
Right.
So are the Chinese. But I think we are a nation that's extremely value conscious. We are okay to spend 100 rupees on something if we see there's actually worth spending 100 rupees on.
True.
Like my father would gift me a very good pen if that pen helps me write faster in an exam.
Right.
So, and that's okay. My father may be probably earning 10,000 rupees a month. But if that, that pen costs 100 rupees and that's going to allow my kid to give a better examination, I will spend that money to do it.
For sure.
Right? And that's 1% of my salary. And I'm spending that on a pen. But
So
the
true.
value of that 1% is my son's going to be educated, and someday that all of this sacrifices that I'm making, these little investments that I'm making, is actually going to come back to me in a grander, bigger way.
Right.
So India is a very value conscious market, and the more you are able to provide value, the money comes out very easily.
Right.
Like for instance, when Dove shampoo came out, I think you and I were kids back then,
Right.
and then all the moms used to love Dove when it launched because there's more moisturizer, there's but Dove used to be expensive,
Yeah.
and then Dove launched those sachets, and then suddenly that was democratized. Like even someone whose family income wasn't very high would still be able to buy a Dove sachet,
Right.
because now it's been democratized. The barrier to entry in accessing a product like Dove back in the day, changed completely.
Right.
So it's super important to lower barriers of entry for anyone to do entrepreneurship, for
Makes a lot of
anyone
sense.
to start a business and solve a problem. And for that, it's super important to have social media handles, to have a website, to have a voice on
Right.
the internet.
Makes a lot
The
of
best
sense.
part about the internet is that it has disrupted the way things have always worked. Distribution is now in your hands. You can build your distribution. You can tell your own story. You don't need to go to a media house. You don't need to go to, let's say, someone who controls that distribution.
True.
You can build it yourself. I think this is the opportunity of our lifetime, and everyone should be thinking how to leverage that for their own benefit.
That's fantastic. That's so true, and that's so fantastic to hear that from you, Vargab, because it truly is a game changer. I mean, India is known for its SMBs as their backbone.
Correct.
We have a huge number of startups today. Yes, we have a huge number of enterprises, but India is predominantly a SMB environment, and them being enabled solves for economic level problems and challenges of India, right? And like you beautifully mentioned about leveraging internet to its fullest very easily is what you cracked.
Correct.
And that is why today there's a huge penetration of
Even
this
this
market.
new wave of dark stores that you see coming up, given quick commerce is absolutely booming. And the reason is convenience, right? Because you and I, we may not have the time to go to a shop, buy something, and in 15 minutes, if it's getting delivered to my home, nothing like it, right?
Right.
And the supply of dark stores cannot be done by a Zepto or a Instamart alone, right?
Right.
You need people who are ready to, give their space and start a dark store. And Adit Palicha of Zepto was mentioning how these dark store owners are also starting to make substantial income. So opportunities around entrepreneurship will continue to 10x over the next decade, especially with AI and AGI come in.
Right.
You will see micro entrepreneurship rising significantly. You be very comfortable with the fact that there will be 5 people running $1 billion company in the next 10 years.
Amazing.
There'll be a 5 people team running a $1 billion company in the next 10 years, because a lot of the technology builds would be done by AI. And it's not that people will go out of jobs.
Right.
That may happen in the interim, but what's going to essentially happen is that 3 or 4 people here, come together and start things that solve a very niche problem statement.
Right.
And these bunch of people would probably solve that problem statement better than someone else. And that's how you will see smaller companies being created. So this is a great time to actually start something.
Amazing. That's so true. Do you think Shopify and WIX can be disrupted too?
Great question. Yes. I think there's always, disruption opportunities in the way things work today. I'll give you an example. Look, today you can get a bunch of IIT engineers and build a Shopify for yourself. It's not very hard. But what's difficult is to create the partner and developer ecosystem that Shopify has built. Because the difference between a platform and a product is that Shopify is a platform company, and people who are building businesses on top of the platform make more money than the platform.
Right.
For instance, Shopify, from the time it started, the number of sellers selling on top of Shopify cumulatively have sold more than $1 trillion worth of goods just through Shopify's platform. And the partners who are on Shopify, if Shopify is doing, let's say, $10 billion in revenue, the partners would be doing north of $20 billion in revenue cumulatively. So as a platform, it has enabled multiple businesses to make money on top of their platform. They have given more, they've created more value for the ecosystem than they have retained for themselves. And that's what makes Shopify a very difficult company to disrupt.
Right.
But their technology can be disrupted. There can be a better technology than Shopify. For instance, I'll give so I've quit WIX very recently, as you know, and I'm on a paternity break. And now that I don't work at Shopify and I don't work at WIX, I've got some freedom to probably talk about, the positives of both companies.
Right.
For instance, WIX does a better job than Shopify if for any novice to create a website. It's super easy on a WIX. Even though Shopify says that it's super easy to build a website on its platform, it's not as easy. Like you will be able to do it, but more often than not, you need like a professional developer to sort of put that finesse in the website. But Shopify does a way more stellar job when it comes to managing an e-commerce business versus, let's say, a WIX. And Shopify is a more mature platform. WIX, again, let's say, caters to multiple verticals like hotels, restaurants, which Shopify does not.
Right.
So both of these companies, they try and do different things, but it's possible for each of these organizations to be disrupted. Today, if AI helps a website, and there's already a lot of companies which you put prompts and the website is designed. Shopify launched something called Shopify Magic, through which you can do a lot of these e-commerce operations through prompts. WIX has a website designer which just through prompts designs your website. So with AI and AGI coming in over the next decade, you will see that what Shopify looks like today wouldn't be what it is 10 years from now, and that applies to WIX as well. So expect to see that every kind of legacy software that's been there in the ecosystem from the last 10 or 20 years, expect them to change or expect them to be disrupted.
Makes a lot of sense.
But it's going to happen for sure. Anyway, tech companies do not have a long life cycle. It's very rare that you see a tech company having 100-year lifetime. Like
Right.
if you look at IBM, started off in the 70s, latest 70s, 80s. They did really well, but today IBM is dying.
Yeah.
They may have cash reserves, but IBM as a company isn't innovating at the pace at which it was doing back in the day. So all tech companies have a certain time where they try and make the most of it.
Yeah.
And if you do not make the most out of it at that time, then you'll probably get disrupted.
Yeah, and it is true. I mean, technology volatility is so damn fast today. Every week I see a new model coming up in AI, right, which is beating the precursor in one or multiple parameters. And you're wondering, what would really succeed?
Correct.
Because this race on top of the ethical AI on top of it is making it so super crazy in terms of just following what is going on in the
Right.
world, right? I think
Right.
I sometimes feel that there's a need for me to spend an hour or two every day just to keep abreast of what's happening in this space, right?
Right.
Because it's just so quick and changing. So here in this case, what I also realized from the conversation, the pointers that you just shared, Vargab, is the moat has always been the ecosystem, the marketplace,
The community.
the community, right? As against the tech.
Correct.
So disruption in this space is not just going to be on tech, it's going to be a combination of tech plus community.
Correct.
The whole ecosystem coming in together to disrupt
100%.
that. That's fantastic. And that brings me to another very interesting question. What is the future of commerce going to look like? And what is the future of, I mean, it's not just limited to building websites, but at large, what is the future of commerce going to look like?
Personalized. I think personalization is something that everyone enjoys. When I get a gift, I really like, my name addressed, a product that has probably got something inscribed which is personal to me.
Right.
Hyper personalization is something that we are moving towards. I think that's something in commerce that I'm personally very excited about. I also think interactive experiences will elevate, especially with glasses coming in,
Right.
and with glasses becoming more seamless over the next decade. Imagine I don't know if you've seen spatial websites where you have this 3D experience of
Yeah.
maneuvering like you're in a store. And websites of the future could be spatial as well, where you just say wear glasses and you're almost like stepping into a store and you're able to see clothes and you're able to see shoes and you're able to almost feel the kind of stuff
Right.
that you feel when you go to, let's say, a showroom and an offline retail store. I think it's how much are you able to merge online and offline, and how much are you able to create this multiverse, and how is your avatar acting in that multiverse versus how it is acting in real life, and how blurry are those lines and how accurate can they be over time. It's something that's going to be very interesting
Very true.
over the next 10-20 years. For example, I think you've seen my content creation journey as well, and some of the videos so 80% of the videos I shoot in the studio, but sometimes when I'm traveling and a video needs to go out, we use AI to shoot, to do that, produce that video, and we use, let's say, softwares like HeyGen and 11 Labs, to get my voice right, to get my actions right, etc. But more often than not, the AI hasn't become so good that so every time I make like an AI video, there'll be someone come in and hating on me that, oh, this is AI, this is shitty, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, he's right, that this hasn't come out that well, but over time, like, I would want my AI avatar to be as real as who I am in real life.
Right.
The
Yeah.
way, in terms of how I talk, I walk, I behave, I respond, I take decisions. And the closer your avatar is to your real life, the easier things become in the multiverse.
Awesome. Vargab, you yourself had a brilliant journey as an influencer, talking about such impact metrics and impact journeys and hacks to build companies, to grow brands, etc. Right? Grow quick is the name of your social environment where you've been spreading amazing messages. If I'm not wrong, 300,000 plus followers or subscribers on Instagram and a lot more on YouTube as well, right? Could you talk to us a little bit about that journey? How did you even put together something so up so quickly? You've got amazing videos, amazing content. People are learning so much from that. Could you give us a bit of a perspective on that?
So a bunch of us got together and thought that India needs an infotainment D2C channel. A couple of reasons is if you were to look at entrepreneurship overall, it's obviously growing. Because barriers to entry have been taken down. We've also seen that the aspirational entrepreneurship quotient in our country is extremely high.
Right.
So, but there is a bridge between aspiration and execution. So I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't have the confidence, I don't have the money, I don't have the knowledge, the know-how, the right partners. There's like 10 problems that someone can just spill out to you when you say that, okay, what's stopping you, to become an entrepreneur? So we thought, let's start a channel where we'll sort of share tips, share stories of other entrepreneurs, specifically in the D2C segment, because we think that D2C is an evergreen sector.
Right.
Anyone can start a D2C business if they are able to make a product and if there is a certain customer base for it. There you go. You've probably got a lifestyle business. Not all of these businesses need to raise funds. They could very much be, lifestyle businesses which make you a few lakhs every month, and that's quite decent, right? I think one of the reasons that the channel did really well is because we spoke specifically about what businesses are doing differently, how they're creating an unfair advantage, what is, let's say, a moat to someone's business, how did a certain entrepreneur identify a certain problem statement and then go about solving it. So the channel, I think, is doing phenomenally well. Over the last 8-9 months, we've, like you mentioned, on Instagram, we've crossed 300,000 followers. On YouTube, we've crossed 1 lakh subscribers. And this is all through short form content.
Wow.
We intend to do long form content sometime later, but we just thought that let's start with short form content. These 1-minute videos don't need a lot of skin in the game from the viewer. So it's just bite-sized information. And if you have a compelling hook that is triggering a certain emotion as soon as I come to your video, and within the first 5 seconds, if the video is able to trigger an emotion within me of fear or hope or a fact that I want to share with someone, and it's got my attention, I think it's super. And then how do you basically solidify that hook by saying that, okay, you've made a claim, then you actually land facts that support your claim, and then you move towards a call to action, which speaks about how do you basically manage to execute what we just said. So here's something we know, here's why it's true, here's how you can do it too.
Right.
And these small videos, like I keep saying on multiple podcasts, that time is the currency on social media.
True.
So if by giving 1 minute time, I'm learning something new, which I can share with my friends, or it inspires me to start something up, worth it.
Awesome. So guys in the audience who are listening to this, if you want to grow quick, follow Grow Quick. It's amazing content. I can attest to that.
Thank you so much.
So can the other 300,000 people as well. So thank you so much, Vargab. Vargab, you've also been a fashionista. I've followed your fashion sensibilities and they're fantastic. I know a lot of people who talk about that. What's the secret behind that?
Look, some people like us don't have green eyes like you, so we have to put an extra effort to look good. My wife does a lot of my shopping.
Okay.
And I love shopping from D2C brands, smaller brands that people don't hear about. I don't know if the camera can look at my shoe. It's a hand-stitched shoe. It's not very expensive. It's a Bombay-based brand called Canvas. And it's a very quirky, nice shoe, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you need to have the confidence to pull anything off.
Right.
And it's okay. There are times where people are like, this looks absolutely ridiculous on you. And it's okay. Like I said, I've never been scared of criticism. And it's okay. And in fashion, it's okay for things to, not go right. I mean, you wear 10 attires, 2 may not go your way. But the other 8, if they're able to, hook someone's attention, worth it. And I actually became a little more fashion conscious since I started, creating content. And like when I go to the studio, and these are all like 20, 21-year-old Gen Zs and boomers, and I don't even understand their language. For the first 2 times, they said, "Oh, Vargab, the drip needs to be better. The drip needs to be better." I couldn't even fucking understand what the fuck does a drip mean. And then someone explained it to me. No, your clothes need to be better. I was like, okay. And then I started putting some effort into, what I wear, the drip. So yeah, I think it's the call of the hour. You probably it's so much like this is an attention economy we are in right now. You need to look good. You need to present yourself. If you're a billionaire and you wear the same t-shirt every day to office, good for you. I mean, nobody's complaining. But for someone who's not been, wants to get there, but doesn't often get that deserved attention, wearing good, looking good, it doesn't just add to your confidence. It also, helps people take a second glance at you.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Thank you so much for the fashion pointers. I'm hoping that you do give me some of those brand names too, so that I can also shop from them. But brilliant. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Last segment of the conversation, we're going to call it the rapid fire because we're very original.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. We want very quick answers to those.
Okay.
Favorite apparel brand?
I'm sorry, favorite?
Apparel brand?
Favorite apparel brand? Okay, I like Fred Perry and I like Calvin Klein. Both of them are a little premium, but I really like both these brands. My wife buys a lot from Suta, so that's a great D2C brand.
Yes.
That my wife buys from. Very recently, I started wearing clothes from this D2C brand called Senses. They've got these polo T-shirts, so they're a good brand too.
Amazing. I'm happy I'm wearing a CK right now. So it is attested by Vargab, the fashionista himself. Thank you. One word to describe yourself as a leader.
Resilient.
Brilliant. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Bangalore or Delhi? Or
Bangalore.
Kolkata?
Oh, Bangalore by a mile. I do not like Delhi much.
Top influencer of choice?
Tanmay Bhatt.
Brilliant. What's your favorite app other than Shopify and WIX?
My wife and I just went through a pregnancy, and I really like this app called Flow, which was to track the pregnancy, and I could, they have a partner app as well. So as her husband, it used to give me notifications. Oh, today your wife's mood may be like this or your baby is developing nails today. And it was a phenomenal app. So that's
Game changer.
Yeah, I mean, it made my pregnancy experience better with my wife.
That's amazing. The last book or podcast that really inspired you?
Shane Parrish, Knowledge Project. I like his podcast.
Fantastic. One thing people misunderstand about e-commerce?
That it's easy to make millions of dollars through e-commerce. E-commerce is an easy business to start, difficult one to sustain,
right,
and even more difficult one to scale.
Makes a lot of sense. Yep. Fantastic. Hidden talent no one knows about you?
I dance decently well.
Yeah, awesome. We're going to hopefully get to see some of those moves. If you had unlimited resources for one day, what problem would you solve?
Health. I think the health infrastructure in our country needs help, and with AI coming in, I just hope that we are able to make health infrastructure, like whether it's access to good doctors, access to good machines and biomedical facilities. I just hope we are able to make more of that accessible to the poor. That's a cause that I would relate to.
Great. Thank you so much, Vargab, for being on the show. These were fantastic answers. And I think there were a lot of very insightful pointers that I think for me personally, I could, go back home with thinking about this and, double clicking on some of those pointers and coming back to you with more questions.
Thank you, sir.
But I'm sure the audience today, the people who are going to be listening to this conversation, they're going to be amazed by some of the pointers that you've shared. Very practical, very knowledgeable and brilliant. Thank you so much for coming here and joining us. But on that note, I do want to give you a gift. We have a hamper for you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to give you that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Vargab. This is for you. This is by
Thank you.
Cupik Design,
Okay.
who works on personalized stationery and gifting, corporate gifting. So this is handcrafted for you.
Cupik. Cupik
Yes.
Design. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Very good.
Nice
And there's a lot of
packaging
stuff
as well.
inside that is highly personalized for you. So you're going to check it
Super.
out and let us
Awesome.
know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for coming
Thank
in.
you,
Lovely
Abhay.
hosting you.
It was great being here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right.
Cheers. Folks listening to us, this was Vargab. Brilliant insights. If you like the content, please do comment, provide us your feedback, like and subscribe. Thank you. Feel free to share your perspectives through comments, subscribe to the channel, and do send us some suggestions as well. Thank you.